Hey, Kyle's Wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's AEW Elevation and BTE from August 8th, 2022, as well as a special edition of Elevation from August 4th, 2022. So we'll start with that. It almost slipped through the cracks on me. I just happened to see it on YouTube today in my suggested videos. It was recorded before Dynamite on August 3rd in Columbus, Ohio, and it's just a short 3-match special edition of Elevation. I had actually lost power on that Thursday for 24 hours, and it was never mentioned on TV, so I had no idea this special episode of Dark Elevation, even existed. Now that I think about it, there was something weird about Mance Warner on Rampage. He came out to fight John Moxley, and it said that he already had an AEW match under his belt. So I thought maybe they just counted that Battle Royal that he won at the Ric Flair last match, but no, it's because Mance Warner had debuted on this Thursday edition of Elevation. Mance will be out later, so I didn't even know that this was out. I didn't see it in any news. It wasn't announced on television, so at least I saw it here at the last second, so I can see it and review it. So we get a really good match to start out. First, Emi Sakura makes her way to the ring, one of my favorites in the women's division. She showed a couple of weeks ago on Elevation that she can still wrestle at her age of 45 when she's allowed to, with a really great singles match against Toni Storm. So Emi's going to have another chance to have a great singles match here. With her opponent coming out next is Hikaru Shida. So this will be a great match, as Emi and Shida have been in the ring together 103 times before, going all the way back to 2008 at the promotion Ice Ribbon. Of course, Emi Sakura was one of Shida's main trainers, and they were last in a match against each other just 3 days ago on Monday's Elevation, which was a week ago now, but this came out Thursday. That was a 6-man tag. So Shida hasn't been on Dynamite or Rampage since losing in the Philly street fight to Serena Deeb at the end of April. So that's still much more recent than Emi Sakura's last Dynamite appearance, which is over 960 days ago. So currently, Shida's been traveling back and forth from Japan to AEW, wrestling on Elevation during the week and then in Japan during the weekend. Shida was also back in the Ice Ribbon promotion the weekend just before this, and has wrestled in Wave and Tokyo Joshi Pro all in the last month, as well as being on Elevation just about every week this month. So she's been traveling a lot. Emi Sakura comes into this match with the 18-7 singles record, and oh no, why? Right when I was all excited for this match, Madison Rayne, the new head coach of the women's division, is on commentary. Why? This now makes 5 wrestling shows in an 8-day span where I have to watch/listen to Madison Rayne. Why? What did I do to deserve this? This is awful news. Why did she get this job in AEW? She's absolutely terrible at everything. So I'm going to try my best to ignore her and just go back to being excited about the singles match here. So right as the bell rings, Emi walks up to Shida, gets right in their face, and this is going to be a personal grudge match here. This fires up Shida, who hits some big forearms now, and they have a striking exchange right away with monster shots being thrown. Emi hits some chops while talking trash to her former student here. Madison is as annoying as you could imagine. Hopefully this is her last time on commentary ever in AEW, or it's going to get really old really fast, because Madison was already trying her best to ruin this great match that we were trying to watch. Emi now gets out of the ring, but is able to pull Sakura or Shida out there with her, and that sends Shida back and forth into the apron in the barricade. We see a look at Madison Rayne's face like, oh, wow, I didn't know this kind of women's wrestling existed, because she's terrible. May I remind everyone, Madison Rayne is now the head coach of the AEW women's division, a division that is 95% better than she ever was in any time of her career, and the other 5% is only between the ages of 20 and 24. So back in the ring now, Emi hits a "We Will Rock You" chops here, but instead of the normal crossbody to the gut, she turns around Shida and does the crossbody to the back in the corner. Emi makes the cover, but Shida gets pulled up by Emi herself, who then applies a dragon sleeper. The crowd's cheering for Shida to fight back, who gets out of the hold and hits a vertical suplex. Shida now quickens the pace, hitting a nice step-up dropkick and a delayed vertical suplex. Shida now leaps off the middle rope, but Emmy is able to evade the attack, then drapes Shida over the ropes and hits a draping Queen's Gambit backbreaker. The Queen's Gambit backbreaker is Emi Sakura's finisher, but she doesn't even go for the win. Emi Sakura only cares about hurting Shida in this match. So Shida blocks the normal versions of the Queen's Gambit now, not the draping one, and then hits Emi hard with some knee strikes and a back elbow. Emi kicks out and then blocks the suplex because Shida's back was too hurt. She was getting her back worked over a lot in this match. So Emi now hits a power bomb that folds Shida right in half, but Shida's still just barely able to kick out of that one. Shida's definitely in trouble, though. Emi Sakura's just wanting to play around here and hold Shida up for a delayed version of the Queen's Gambit backbreaker, but Shida counters it with a Hurricane Rana, then a springboard kick, and a rolling pump kick right after that for the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Hikaru Shida. Really good match here. Again, Emi laying down a great singles match, 2 in the last 3 weeks. Emi Sakura definitely deserves to be back on Dynamite before 1,000 days go by since her last appearance. But instead, we have to watch stupid Madison Rayne on Dynamite this week fight for the TBS title. What a load of crap that is. So speaking of Shida, speaking of Jade, after Shida celebrated here, Jade Cargo's music hits, but I knew not to get excited for the first ever Shida Jade matchup because we already know that Madison freaking Rayne is the one getting the shot on Dynamite. So Jade Cargo has a microphone and says, "Maddie, whatever your name is, cut the crap." So Stokely Hathaway now says, "Madison Rayne, from one beautiful person to another, I have to say welcome to AEW as the head coach of the women's division. Listen, I love introductions. So Madison, this is Jade. She's our TBS champion, something you will never become." So Madison Rayne says, "That's a great introduction, huh? I'm not impressed. However, you're going to be impressed by this. It's an honor for me to be at the AEW coach for the women's division, but Stokely, you might not have gotten the rest of the something. I don't even know what I write there. But the introduction, because I'm also here to be an in-ring competitor. And I think I'm looking at my first opponent right in front of me. So this is what sets up the Leila Gray match on Rampage. Now it makes a little bit more sense. This came out on Thursday. I had no idea that this special edition of Elevation even existed, so I missed out on that. But now there's a TBS title as well. Leila Gray got defeated by Madison Rayne on Rampage. Now they have a TBS title match on Dynamite. Anyway, what the heck happened to Shida, who just won the match? Did she have to leave through the crowd or something? All this? Why is Madison Rayne here, taking spots from Shida and Emi Sakura, among others, who could wrestle circles around Madison Rayne with their eyes closed and with one arm tied behind their back? Emi Sakura is also an accomplished trainer who could be 10 times better of a coach, but whatever. Hopefully all this passes by and then Madison just goes to being backstage where we can forget about her ever existing. But if it turns into a thing where Madison Rayne is on multiple shows in matches and commentary, it's going to get disgustingly bad real quick. And she's going to ruin. I know most people don't like to watch Darker Elevation. I watch them religiously every week, mostly for the women's division because that's where you get to find them. And if it becomes the Madison Rayne show, I'm going to be furious. So until I'm going to save my vigor for that until that happens. Hopefully this little TBS title thing and that commentary tonight was just a one little time thing and Madison Rayne just goes back to being in backstage and we can forget she ever existed. Out next, Serpentico, accompanied by Luther. Serpentico comes in with a terrible 13-86 record, and then his opponent is going to be Mance Warner. So, oh no, Serpentico, this is not going to be good. So Mance comes out and hits a huge punch that almost knocks Serpentico out with the first shot. And this is actually Mance Warner's, technically his AEW debut, because this came out Thursday before his match against Moxley on Rampage, which was a really good match. Check out my Rampage review for that. Manson is hitting a bunch of chops and punches. Luther's now screaming on the outside, thinking it's already over. Mance thinks about diving out, but then Serpentico runs up the entrance ramp. Mance goes after him and gets Serpentico back in the ring. The referee's checking on Serpentico, and Luther attacks Mance from behind, rolling him back in. So this will be Serpentico's only chance here. Can he capitalize? Serpentico hits a running double axe handle, rakes the face, and hits a snap suplex. Serpentico now goes up to the top rope, but Mance avoids the top rope stomp, and the Serpentico rolls through it, unfortunately for him, right into two massive lariats and a big boot from Mance Warner. So Serpentico ends able to block a knee strike here and hits a super kick. More offense than I expected from Serpentico. Wow. So Mance now blocks a pile driver attempt because he was way too big for the small Serpentico. Right after that, hitting a nasty lariat and then a knee strike that he was looking for earlier, followed by a big DDT, and that gets the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, the Southern Psychopath, Mance Warner. Definitely hope to see more of Mance in the future. His match against Moxley was great, and I would love to see him against someone that isn't quite as small as Serpentico or as much of a brawler. I would like to see him against like a technical guy and see how he does with the styles clash. We saw him in the brawl versus brawler match, and we saw him in a squash match here. But I would love to see Mance in like a match against I'm not quite sure, but maybe like a Danny Garcia or something like along those lines. So the main event of the short special edition of Elevation that came out last Thursday, coming out first is Tony Nese and Josh Woods. So damn, everything on this little Thursday show was to set up the live Rampage. I definitely wish I would have known sooner than Monday about it. 3 days, way too late. So Dean Alexander and Damian Chambers are going to be their opponents. Both teams are making their AEW debuts as a tag team here. So since this took place before Tony Nese and Josh Woods were in the main event of Rampage, losing in a pretty good street fight to Swerve and Our Glory, the tag champs. So Josh Woods starts really strong here with some takedowns and then tags in Tony Nese, who hits some big attacks. Woods comes in, takes out the other guy while Tony Nese hits some big knee strikes on the legal man. Woods now tags in. They hit a nice double team, ending with Woods hitting Josh Woods hitting a rolling chaos German suplex that looked nasty. That gets the 1-2-3. The winners of this match by pinfall, Josh Woods and Tony Nese. I don't even think I mentioned that Smart Mark Sterling had accompanied them, but they celebrate and Elevation ends. And nothing much to say other than it is good to see that Tony Nese and Josh Woods are another team in the tag division now. They don't have to be tag champs or anything like that, but A, it gives Tony Nese something to do. B, it gets Josh Woods on the roster. They'll probably split at some point, and then they can go off their separate ways and do whatever. But in the meantime, having them as a tag team, they already had some nice chemistry in this match. I don't think they've ever teamed before this one. So good stuff from the two veterans that are really good individually. Maybe they can become. We kind of thought, oh, what's going on with this Swerve teaming with Keith Lee thing, and then that turned out to be really good team. So you never know, it might turn out to be really good stuff, or it might turn out to be something that we forget about in a year's time. So anyway, that was all right. When it ends, the ending of Elevation for the special Thursday edition was Mance Warner, that video we saw with him talking on Rampage. So good thing they showed that on Rampage as well, because like I said, I didn't even hear the news that this special edition of Elevation even existed until Monday. So that was all right. I see why they released it early with those three matches. All three set up the live Rampage. My feelings about Madison Rayne aside, this was worth a watch. Emi Sakura and Hikaru Shida had a great singles match, and even Madison Rayne's annoying commentary couldn't ruin how good of a match that was. Mance looks great, and Tony Nese and Woods have some good chemistry for being such a short-lived tag team. So, all right, now let's get to our regular Monday review of AEW. And as usual, we always start with this week's episode of BTE, Being the Elite. This is episode 318, and it is titled A Dark Order Musical. So, wow, that sounds interesting right off the bat there. So I'm sure we'll also get some the dramatic scenes on Dynamite where Adam Cole and Red Dragon attacked the Young Bucks and Cutler. And then Hangman Page had to come out to make the save. So I'm sure we'll get that. Also, we've got to imagine that Kenny Omega can't be too far away from returning from his injury. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of important things on this BTE. So we start this week's episode with the Young Bucks sitting in the airport. They're on layover, waiting in the airport, and Brandon Cutler's recording them. They show off their shoes a little bit. Matt Jackson has an amazing Uno playing cards t-shirt on. And then Cutler says, hey, look, there's someone we know over there. And then we see Hangman Page chilling by himself, eating something on the other side of the terminal. And this would be all before the events that took place on Dynamite, because they're still traveling to get to Columbus, Ohio. So the Young Bucks say, nah, that's not him. but it definitely is. And Cutler says, should we invite him over? And Matt Jackson says, no, let him do his thing. And then Matt Jackson says, cut the camera. So we don't get anything more there, but we get more later on. So now the BTE opening video plays, and wow, this is already interesting because after that video, we see the Bucks traveling to Columbus, and then it cuts to the Bucks watching Dynamite backstage. So Matt says, "Oh, we're gonna do an in-ring promo, but we haven't seen Adam Cole or Red Dragon all day. Let's go find them." So they do, and Cole says, "Oh, I've been running all around all day. We'll talk out there. Trust me." Famous last words, huh? When he says, trust me. So Matt Jackson says, all right, well, Cole's so good at promos, we don't have to do anything tonight. And then Red Dragon come up and say, hey, you guys ready? So now we get that whole segment with the Bucks and Brandon Cutler getting attacked. And then we get to see it from Brandon Cutler's point of view. I was while this was happening on Dynamite, I remember thinking, I can't wait to see the Cutler cam for this on BTE, and that's what we got here. It was pretty cool. Cutler was standing outside of the ring when Adam was talking about loyalty and stuff like that when Adam Cole was doing that. So Cole then attacked them. He basically attacked him here for kicking him out of the Bullet Club. If you're wondering why Adam Cole was talking about loyalty and then turned on them, it's because the Bucks turned on him originally, kicking him out of Bullet Club. So we also see Cole also saw last week on BTE, he saw Hangman and Bucks talking to each other on Dynamite last week, so that might have kicked this into action. Cutler now once the attack happens, Cutler sets the camera down and he tries to go help, but Cutler gets taken out right away by Bobby Fish. Cutler's now back to his camera when Hangman's able to come out and make the save in his butterfly jeans. So the crowd's shouts was super loud when Hangman came out, was even louder than on TV while we were watching the camera from Cutler. So we'll have to see if they show us anything backstage because Hangman had just left after saving him and helping Matt Jackson up. So we go from that to Matt Hardy in the locker room taking his wrist tape off after losing a tough matchup to Christian on Dynamite. Matt has been repenting for all his past wrongdoings and seemingly might have accepted that he's just a bad person last week, but we see that was just a one little thing because he's back to repenting Matt Hardy this week. Because Private Party come into the locker room and they make fun of Hardy for getting beat up, thrown through a table, bleeding in his mouth here. Mark and Isaiah talk a lot of trash here, Private Party. Eventually, Matt Hardy yells, what do you want? Do you want to hurt me again? So Matt Hardy turns around just like he let Private Party, the Butcher, and the Blade beat him up already, just like that. But Private Party are like, no, chill out. And Mark Quinn says, we respect what you did. You tried to make everything right between us. So Matt Hardy says, what happened out there tonight? I've got more of that company. I've deserved all I got. This is bigger than us, bigger than this plane. This is karma. Me being forced to pay my penance for being a POS. So Isaiah Cassidy says, well, I'm not going to lie. You are a POS, but above everything else, you're still our childhood hero. And you were the ones that got us into this business, that influenced us. So we still owe you that respect. And Matt Hardy says, we don't need the bond. I have a lot of self-loathing to do. You two need to stay away from me because I am toxic, because I am broken. You don't need me. You don't need to be here for me because I'll put your career in a downward spiral again. I already effed it up once. I won't put you through that again. Stay away from me. So Matt Hardy leaves. Private Party doesn't seem too bothered about what happens. They just think Matt is kind of crazy. And Private Party, we're here showing pity for their washed up hero here. Matt Hardy doesn't want to hurt them again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next with that for sure. But hopefully it involves Private Party getting more matches, more storylines on TV because Mark and Isaiah are good at wrestling for sure. They weren't great at their talking here, the actual delivery of the lines, but it came off. They made it seem like it was a real situation and they had a lot of charisma. So the part about the talking and saying lines, that's the part you can teach people. The part you can't teach people is how to talk more comfortable. Talking more comfortably is what you can teach. What you can't teach is the timing, the body language, the charisma. Private Party already have that in spades. So they're only going to get better both in the ring and at talking as we go. They've got the natural charisma and body language and stuff down. So now we go from that to seeing Pretty Peter Avalon is here with Leva Bates. who both missed each other on their honeymoon last week. They said to meet at Disney. Unfortunately, Leila lives in Orlando, so she just went to Disney World, and Peter lives in LA, so he just went to Disneyland in California. And they missed each other, obviously, because they were thousands of miles away. So now Peter is with Leila and says, welcome to our honeymoon. But it's just them in Grand Rapids there for Rampage. Peter says, after last week, I'm all out of money. You know my contract status. It's all over the internet. Nobody knows what's going on. It's all over the place. So a little shot there from Pretty Peter Avalon. Doesn't know if he's actually getting a contract renewal or not. So Leila then says that she wants to take wedding photos. There's a fountain nearby in their hotel, but then when they get there, it's under maintenance and closed off. So they said, all right, well, let's go work out instead. That was closed off in the hotel as well. So they can't get into their hotel room. And then Leila has to go to the bathroom, but that too is closed. So Leila now has a mental breakdown, and we leave them to their whatever. That was, I don't know if that was funny or sad, but interesting, I guess. Now we're at back to a premiere of the movie called They/Them. And we were here last week, so I think this was a different one than last week. This is a movie that Ryan Nemeth's girlfriend, maybe they're married, but I think it's a girlfriend. It's a movie on Peacock that she's starring in. So they ended the last premiere by arguing a little bit. Now Ryan Nemeth is here acting like he's a Hollywood reporter, but he's only asking wrestling questions. So just like Ryan Nemeth was doing with his pets in the previous weeks, Ryan asks, oh, do you guys watch Dark Elevation? Do you know about the Forbidden Door? Do you think Bray Wyatt will join the Dark Order or Jericho Appreciation Society? And if it's JAS, would Bray be the worst dressed or the best dressed? Could Bray Wyatt bench press more than Big Daddy Magic? So that was pretty funny from Ryan Nemeth. He also asked his girlfriend if she was charging for some guys getting her autograph, and she was all mad about that. That was funny. So now we see the Dark Order looking hungover in a Columbus sports bar, but it's during the day, nobody's there. It might actually just be the inside of the arena where there's like a little sports bar area inside of the Ohio State arena here. Hangman now walks up to Silver, Reynolds, Uno, and 10 and says, hey, what's up? And Silver says, oh, man, we're hungover because we went back to the hotel to watch Dynamite after dark, and we decided to just watch Biodome and rip shots instead. We missed all of Dynamite. So Uno now says, oh, well, how was Christian and Hardy? And hilariously, Hangman says, it was okay, which made me laugh out loud. I mean, it literally was the definition of just okay, which is hilarious. So Alex Reynolds, now sporting a beard, says, which looks weird. It's got gray in it. I always think, I mean, I would have gray in my beard too. Why do you think I don't have a beard? But anyway, Alex Reynolds says, did you say last week that all four of us could be in the trios title? And Hangman says, hear me out. It's 4 groups. The 4 of you combined is the world best trio. Enter all 4 of you in the tournament. So now music starts playing, and it's at this point I'd completely forgotten the title of this episode is called Dark Order Musical. So it's a song about them becoming the trios team as a foursome, and it's super funny. Definitely go find this Dark Order musical about them joining the trios tournament as a foursome. Make sure you watch this towards the end. Hangman also gives them some backup vocals talking about how Dark Order lost their friends, Stu, Allen, and Colt, and now they want to fight and win the trios tournament for them. But they don't care about Anna Jay. She broke the #1 rule of Dark Order, which is never, ever, ever lower a shark cage. So that's what got her. She didn't even leave. She got kicked out the second she lowered the shark cage. She got kicked out of the Dark Order. So Hangman just starts talking now at the end here, and to the camera here, Hangman says, well, now I'm in an awkward place. Matt and Nick Jackson need a partner. Maybe they want to turn face, he says. Maybe, but I don't know. It feels like the Dark Order's time. Maybe I should just be in their corner. So now they tease that BTE's over, but then we go back. It's that sad, emotional music that they like to play sometimes. We see just a shot of Hangman, like from the knees down. We see his butterfly jeans. He's wheeling a suitcase. Looks like at the end of the show. Hangman knocks on a door. On the other side of the door is someone we don't see, and we don't see what was said. And damn, the BTE just ends right there. Great episode of BTE here. I can't wait to find out more on Dynamite or next week's BTE. I'm really looking forward to the Trios tournament in general, so hopefully we can start fleshing that out. The finals are supposed to take place at All Out, which is now less than a month away, so we got to get rolling on this Trios tournament, that's for sure. All right, now it's time for the AEW Dark Elevation from August 8th, 2022. So the two episodes of Elevation that I reviewed on this video right now are technically the 75th and the 76th episodes of Elevation, but both are shorter than usual, and both were recorded on the same night before last week's Dynamite in Columbus. So it's basically just a normal episode of Elevation cut in half. But like I said, they did that so that they could set up that live Rampage with the 3 matches they put on Thursday. So this episode that comes out on the Monday on the 8th, this episode starts out with Ruby Soho coming out for a match. And wow, she comes out with Skye Blue, so this is going to be a tag match. Ruby is 35-6 in AEW, while Skye is 11-28, picking up a lot of those losses to Nyla Rose. This should be a good tag team. They look really good together, but maybe it's because Skye looks a lot like Liv Morgan, so it's kind of just like the Riot Squad all over again. But they have a good look to them, to Ruby Soho and Skye Blue. So this is going to be their tag team debut, but they have had 2 trios tournaments alongside, or 2 trios matches alongside Anna Jay before, and those were the matches that Anna Jay was mentioning recently when she said before her match against Ruby that she's glad she doesn't have to ever tag with Ruby again. So those were the ones she was talking about. Anna Skye Blue was the other one in those matches. So their opponents already in the ring, Nikki Victory and Megan Myers. This is their tag team debut as well. Megan Myers is 0-2 in AEW, last seen losing to Anna Jay on Elevation on July 4th. And Nikki Victory is 0-1 in AEW, also losing to Anna Jay. Her last match was Elevation back on January 31st. So both teams have one woman with a bunch of tattoos and hair dye, and then one woman with plain hair, no tattoos. So the two without tattoos and hair dye are going to start the match. It's Skye Blue and Nikki Victory. Skye gets wrist control right away, but Nikki is able to strike her way out of this. Skye gets out of a waist lock now and is able to tag in Ruby. And then they hit a awkward as hell double team. But I will say it's just their first time tagging together, but this was awkward. Skye Blue was going to go head scissor her own partner Ruby into Nikki, but it looked super rough and it looked like it would have hurt Ruby way more. So, but like I said, they're a new tag team. It's just a chemistry issue here. That's to be expected. When you don't see a lot of new tag teams try for tricky double teams right away because they're still trying to get their timing together. So I'll give them credit for at least trying here. But now they're going to try another double team, and this one's a lot better. It's just a double kick, but that one was timed well. So good stuff so far. But wow, Nikki Victory kicks out at 1 on that. So Nikki then evades a kick and tags in Megan Myers, who comes in with some fire here, hitting a nasty running quarter attacks, twice, 2 of them, then flips out and hits a weird looking kick. The crowd went wild for that flip, but that kick needs to go. Super fake looking. I don't even know what the premise of the kick was supposed to be. But yeah, that Megan definitely needs to get that one out of her move set. Good match so far, other than those couple of botches. Nikki now tags back in, is going on the attack for some ground and pound offense. The crowd cheers for Skye to get back in the fight. Nikki tries to knock Ruby off the apron here, but Ruby ducks under the attack, and this allows Skye to get past Nikki. Both women's tag out now. Now we've got the 2 tattooed and dyed-haired women in. Ruby hits a lariat and some back elbows on Megan. Nikki tries to run in and eats a giant ripcord forearm here. Great flurry from Ruby. The crowd's now chanting Ruby Soho as Ruby hits a back elbow and some knees to Megan, who's now super dazed. Ruby throws Megan and Nikki into each other, hitting a 2-for-1 move on both women. Now Ruby goes to attack the legal woman, Megan, but Nikki stops her from behind. Skye Blue now runs in, takes Nikki out with a super kick. Ruby now hits a super botched looking spinning flatliner, and I think it was probably Megan's fault, but I've never seen Ruby do this move before, so it might have just been a timing issue with trying to do a new move, or maybe a combination of both women didn't really pull it off. But that doesn't really make this a bad match, even though it was like another botch, and that actually got the 1-2-3, so a little bit botched on the ending here, but Skye and Ruby do a nice little pose with their tongue outs, but they both have tongue poses, but now with them doing it together, the win it looks pretty good. So they get the 1-2-3 here. The winners of this match: Ruby Soho and Skye Blue, aka the new Riot Squad, because they look so much like the Liv Morgan and Ruby Riot pairing. It's almost as if there was like a single white female doppelganger levels between Skye Blue and Liv Morgan here. So Skye looks like she absolutely loved teaming with Ruby here, and Ruby probably took Skye Blue under her wing at a point here. And I bet maybe they even went to like Tony Khan and said, can we please be a tag team on Elevation instead of singles matches? Because why would Tony even say no to that? So since there's no like storylines for the most part on Elevation. But now we get a reminder here, because Ruby looks into the camera and says, we're coming for you, TJ. So if you remember, not only has Ruby Soho had that problem with TJ, Ty Conti and Anna Jay, but we also saw Skye Blue join Dante Martin against Sammy Guevara. So that definitely looks like it's going to be a tag team match coming up soon. Ruby Soho, Skye Blue taking on TJ. So wow, big match next here. It's the Truth Busters' latest client, Parker Boudreaux, formerly known as Harlan, as the assistant to Joe Gacy on NXT 2.0, after then got released at the end of April after only a few months in NXT. So that was a big surprise to me. Parker Boudreaux is a big football star from Notre Dame, and he looks like a young Brock Lesnar. So you would think somebody that looks like he might have the potential of a Brock Lesnar would get more than a few months to develop. So I like the fact that Tony Khan brought him in here, even if it takes a few years. If he's anything remotely close to Brock Lesnar after a couple of years, it would definitely be worth the risk. So just letting him develop here for a few years. If you're wondering who the Trust Busters are, that's a new faction led by Trust Fund Arya Daivari, now shortened his name to Ari Daivari, who's using his new trust fund money to buy out contracts from wrestlers all over the world to add to his stable. Daivari's first client was Slim J, who's a 20-year veteran and one of the 2000 American Cruiserweight styles innovators, a style that would be copied in TNA's X Division and a style that is the backbone of AEW. So one of the innovators finally getting a chance to get on national TV, Slim J, with his wearing the same outfit that he was in the year 2000 and the same outfit I was wearing in the year 2000 as well. Baggy jeans, white beaters, and looking like Eminem. I mean, I was from Detroit and I was a teenager at the time, so you already know what I was doing. Anyway, let's get back to this match. It's Parker Boudreaux coming out, accompanied by Arya Daivari, and Ari is wearing a Seth Rollins looking suit. So his opponent already in the ring is Casey Carrington, who has a 0-1 record, but soon to be 0-2 because Casey Carrington is only about 1/3 of the size of Parker Boudreaux. So Casey's other AEW match was a loss to Jay Lethal, which was also on January 31st, just like that woman from the last match. So I looked it up, and yeah, that elevation took place in Cleveland. This one's in Columbus. So just bringing in some of the same local Ohio talent. Like I said earlier, Parker Boudreaux not only looks like Brock Lesnar, he's basically just playing the role of Brock Lesnar, but it's not really coming off as cheesy because he is an authentic, natural big beast with athletic abilities. So it doesn't come off as too much of a rip off of Brock. It's just how somebody that big and athletic would act. And you know what I mean. So Parker now starts this match with a massive running corner attack with showing just great explosive speed, then a massive Keith Lee style Beal here. Parker kind of has Brody King's body shape, and if you were wondering what he exactly looks like, now Casey escapes this next attack but eats a huge lariat. Holy crap. Parker then hits a knee to the head. That was nasty as well. A big side suplex for the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Parker Boudreaux. Great squash match here. I could watch one of those squash matches on Elevation for the next year and still be satisfied. That's how big and powerful some of those moves are. So Boudreaux is definitely going to be a prospect that you want to keep your eye on for sure. Hopefully Tony Khan won't be too tempted to push him too early. Parker's still very green, but looks like a great talent in a few years' time if they give him time to develop. So big match here next. Out next with huge cheers is the 5th ranked fallen goddess Athena, who has a 2022 singles record of 3-0. So every single arena that Athena comes into gives her massive cheers. One of the biggest stars in the women's division here in AEW. Her opponent already in the ring is the absolutely gorgeous Queen Aminata, who has a 2022 singles record of 0-1, a loss to Mercedes Martinez on Dark in February 8th. But Queen Aminata has been improving a lot lately, including a big win over Masha Slamovich in her last match at the Terminus promotion. So the Queen here is going to have a massive reach advantage, but Athena should have the strength advantage as well as the experience edge. So Amanita starts with a big kick here, then rubs her butt right on Athena's face. Did not see that coming. Mark Henry goes, "Whoa, I'm going to have to talk bad to her lately," which made it sound dirty. I don't know why. But anyway, Athena flips out of a hip toss here, then hits an arm drag and a drop kick. Athena counters a move with a charging Amanita with a nice leg sweep here. That was awesome. The Queen Amanita now bails out of the ring after that, getting huge boos. Then holy crap, one of the biggest moves I've seen in a while. Out of nowhere, the camera angle was absolutely perfect. Out of nowhere, the Queen is just like, I want to leave. And then Athena comes charging in with a shotgun drop kick. One of the most powerful shotgun drop kicks I've ever heard, with the camera angle that we had right next to Amanita outside of the ring. You could hear the impact, and then you see the Queen just go flying into the barricade. That was awesome. And you never once saw Athena until right when the impact happened. One of the coolest freaking things I've seen in wrestling in a while, and it was just in a random match on Elevation. Don't miss this drop kick, this shotgun drop kick from Athena. It was nasty. The people in the front row were stunned by the devastation it caused. That was ridiculous. So back in the ring now, the Queen's already in desperation mode here. She kicks Athena while she's still on her back. But that seems to just have made Athena even more mad. Queen Amanita now hits a big elbow strike here, but it's still woozy after that massive shot to the outside. She's stumbling and bumbling around the ring, but the Queen is able to hit a snap suplex for a 2 count. Great match so far, and a lot of toughness shown from Queen Amanita. So now Athena now fires in with some big strikes, but the Queen snap mirrors her down and hits a stiff kick to Athena's back. That hurt Athena a little bit, but her rage is now boiling over. So Athena explodes with a running kick, or evades a running kick with a nip up. That looks great. Then hits sweet chin music right after the nip up, and that takes the Queen down flush in the jaw. This is a hard hitting, intense match right here. Athena now does like a variation, a spinning variation of the code breaker. That looks cool. And now she goes up to the top rope, hits the top rope spinning stunner that she calls the O face. That got, oh man, that was nasty as well. So of course that gets the 1, 2, 3. The winner of this match by pinfall, the Fallen Goddess Athena. I absolutely loved that match. I could watch this match again. It was so good. And I'm not a guy that usually likes to go back and watch matches, but wow, that shotgun drop kick was absolutely wild. Make sure you watch that Athena shotgun drop kick on Queen Amanita from tonight's Elevation. It was ridiculous. So the next match here, out next, is the Baddies, Leila Gray and Kiera Hogan. So this is going to be interesting to see if they're able to get along. Kiera and Jade seemingly did not want Leila Gray to join them as a baddie. So Stokely Hathaway made a deal with them and said, well, she's just an interim baddie until Red Velvet returns from injury. So they are making their tag team debut here, Leila Gray and Kiera Hogan. Leila finally got her first win in AEW on her 17th try, but lost again right away on Rampage to the debuting Madison freaking Rain of all people. So dropping her overall record to 1-17. Kiera Hogan is 11-8 in AEW, but is 1-0 in tag matches. And if you remember, Kiera Hogan was primarily a tag team wrestler in Impact before joining AEW as part of the former Knockout Tag Team Champion team of Fire and Flava with Tasha Steele. So, yep, Kiera still doesn't like Leila Great here, giving her a dirty look. It seems as if the feeling is mutual. So, no Stokely Hathaway out here. He must be too busy trying to get his men's clients underway or whatever. Lee Moriarty and now what's his name? Ethan Page. So that should be interesting. Maybe Stokely Hathaway is already showing that he's got a little bit too much on the plate, because you would have thought he'd want to be out here to make sure the baddies don't fight each other. So in the ring already is the team of Freya States and Alice Crowley. Big Alice Crowley is only 19, but already a 3-year pro with over 200 matches in her career, including 1 loss in an AEW tag match against Tay J. We're getting a lot of Anna J mentions on this, but that was back in November. Her partner that night was Missa Kate, but her partner tonight, Freya States, is making her AEW debut. Now, Freya does have some size to her. She's definitely the biggest woman in this match, and Mark Henry marks out for how big Freya is. So they stare. The baddies are staring down each other. Now they get rushed from behind. So Leila tries to help here, but gets taken down, and it did help though, because Kiera is able to get back in the fight. Leila throws Big Al out of the ring, and Kiera and Freya are now the legal women in the ring. Kiera hits a spring kick and a drop kick, for a leg drop, I should say, for a 2 count. Leila now tags herself in from behind, and this makes Kiera mad. Freya now is able to use her size to take control, but Leila evades a corner attack. Leila hits a rope-assisted tornado DDT that looked nice, and both women tag out. So Kiera hits a super kick, 2 big nasty kicks in the face to Big Al, and that gets the 1, 2, 3. The winners of this match by pinfall are the Baddies. So poor Big Al didn't even get any offensive moves except for that rush right before the bell rang. So this match was all right, but it definitely didn't even come close to touching the greatness that was Athena versus Queen Aminata right before it, and it really didn't even come close to the Ruby Skye tag match before that as well. So out now to huge cheers. It's going to be Dark Order's John Silver and Alex Reynolds. 10 and Evil do join them on the entrance ramp, but then go back before the match starts. So in the ring already is TUG. My friends call me Tug Cooper, TUG Cooper, and Lord Crewe making their tag team debut. Lord Crewe is a big guy with a big, cool beard, and he is nicknamed the Bare Knuckle Berserker. Lord Crewe is 0-2, losing to Sean Spears in May and Andrade El Idolo in November. So Tug Cooper, or TUG Cooper, is also 0-2, and we saw him just last week on Elevation losing to the Factory in an 8-man tag. So the big Lord Crewe starts nicely here and shows some great agility for a big man, but John Silver's able to knock him down with a big back elbow. TUG Cooper now distracts Silver, and Lord Crewe hits a big back elbow of his own. Now Tug tags in, so does Reynolds. Alex Reynolds quickens the pace here, hitting some nice offense, then evading a double team, and wow, the Dark Order now hit a 6-move double team combo to get the 1, 2, 3. The winners of this match by pinfall, Dark Order. So there were some awesome moves and hard shots in this really short match. That finishing double team was a jump kick in the corner into a rolling elbow, into a pump kick, into a stunner, into a German suplex, finished off with a jackknife pin. That was absolutely sick. So each one of those, Silver did one, then Reynolds did one, then Silver did one, then Reynolds did one, then Silver did one, and then Reynolds did the pin at the end. That was absolutely sick. Great stuff from the 2 Long Island natives from the Dark Order. Would love to see them get more chances as a team. And as we found out on BTE, it's going to be all 4 members entering as a trios team for the tournament. We'll see how that goes. So it's main event time as the Wingman's Pretty Peter Avalon and Ryan Nemeth come down to the ring with a record of 0-3 in tag matches this year. We saw them lose to the Acclaimed on Dark last week, and huge cheers for their opponents who come out next. It is the Lucha Bros, Rey Fenix and Penta Oscuro. So they have a tag record of 27-11. They're accompanied by Alex Abrahantes, and we last saw the Lucha Brothers beat Private Party on Rampage back on July 15th. But of course, they could have been wrestling all over the world since then. They currently have a big feud with Los Faccion, Andrade, and Whoosh, and they will have a Lucha Rules tornado tag this week on Dynamite, which should be amazing. So Pretty Peter and Rey Fenix are going to start this match, and nice evasion by Peter to start this match. He tags in Ryan, happy with his evasion. Ryan Nemeth comes in and evades a move as well. Now the both wingmen celebrate. Peter tags back in now. Penta's in and punches both of them in the gut. Penta now tags in himself, and they hit it was Rey Fenix that punched them in the gut. Penta now tags in, and they both hit a super kick on both of the wingmen, but Peter pulls Fenix out of the ring, and they double stomp Penta in the ring. So the wingmen do some perverted things now, and then Peter attacks Penta, tags in Ryan. They hit a double team move here, and now Peter tags in. They hit another double team as the crowd's chanting Cero Miedo. So Lucha Brothers countered the next double team with and then Penta hits both members of the wingmen with a sling blade. Then Fenix tags in, hits a frog splash, while Penta hits a springboard enziguri. And then Ryan is the legal man. He's able to hit a double super kick here and another double team, but is able to kick out. It was Ryan that got hit with the double super kick. Sorry, and then the double super team, but now another super double team by the Lucha Bros, but Peter is able to break up this pin. Ryan Nemeth now gets up, hits the Dolph Ziggler pendulum DDT that we also saw on Raw tonight for a 2 count on Fenix. And then Pretty Peter tags in. He goes up to the top rope, but Ray escapes the clutches of Nemeth, who was holding him. Penta now tags in. They hit a double super kick on Ryan. Phoenix hits the top rope Spanish fly on Peter, and they hit a double team Fear Factor pile driver for the 1-2-3. The winners of this match by pinfall, the Lucha Bros. So, wow, there was some nasty moves in this match as well. Really hard-hitting episode of Elevation. Before Elevation can end, Andrade's music hits. He comes out with Rush and Jose, the assistant. The Lucha Brothers stare them down, and then Los Faction leave, get on the apron, and then they tease getting in the ring, but leave. And Andrade says, "Tranquilo." So really good episode of Elevation here. A lot of hard-hitting matches, even some of the short matches like the Parker Boudreaux really quick squash match was fun to watch. Like I said, I could watch a year's worth in a row every single week, a 1 minute, 2 minute squash match from Parker Boudreaux while we wait to see if he develops in the next year or so. So really good stuff overall. Like I said, I'm sorry I didn't get that Thursday version of Elevation out before Rampage like I should have, but I didn't even know it existed until Monday. So I got it out on this one. Good episode of BTE as well. So good stuff all around. I'm going to be watching. I'm just going to go right from this. Oh, here's Robinson talking about The Rock again. Definitely. So, I'm going to be watching G1 right now. It just started 3 minutes ago. I'll be back in about 3.5 hours with a live coverage of tonight's G1. So hopefully you guys can tune in for that as well. Give me a subscribe and a like up so we can find other people can find what we're doing over here. And you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you again real soon. Peace.